I was only a few steps away from the beast in front of me, but behind me was the steep, rocky cliff edge. I was trapped like a mouse in a hole, just waiting for the cat to make its first move. It slowly paced left and right, but not far enough to give me a chance to run past it and back down the trail. It was smart, biding its time, waiting for me to make a mistake out of fright. I pulled my arm back and flung it forward, hurling the torch towards the beast. The cat quickly jumped to the left, dodging it as the bright burning stick collided with the ground and was snuffed out from the dirt. I pulled my bag to my side and fiddled with the wrap to undo it, hoping to reach something of use while keeping my stare centered on the ferocious animal. The cat let out a growl, its black lips curling over the jagged fangs. I paused my hands. The creature's hind legs began to shake slightly. I knew it was coming. Without much more warning, it leapt at me from that distance. Claws posed forward, teeth ready to gnaw at my bone. I quickly pushed on my right foot to step to the side, just in time. Its claw caught the strap of my bag, slicing right through it, causing it to fall to the ground at my feet. I stepped away quickly and turned to see the cat immediately pivot on its feet to look me over again. It jumped at me without hesitation, and I raised my axe high up into the air. The beast's powerful paws hit directly against my chest and knocked me over onto the ground. My hand hit the ground hard, loosening my grip and sending my axe sliding across the rocky dirt. I used my left hand to grip at the cat's throat as it brought its giant, gaping maw down towards my head with a snarl. I clenched my right hand tightly and forcefully brought it upwards, pounding the side of the creature's head right next to the ear. It let out a vicious growl and rolled to the side from the force, struggling to regain composure after the stunning blow. I used the time to my advantage and pulled myself across the ground to my axe, just barely reaching it by the time I noticed the beast getting to its feet. I scrambled to get up to run for my bag but slipped back onto the ground near the edge of the cliff. I could see down the large hillside as I lay right next to it. I rolled over to see the cat charging at me, tired of waiting for its next meal. With good timing, I swung my axe up and over my head, striking the side of the beast as it closed in on me. It let out a loud roar and swiped at me, the claw shredding at my robe. I let out a grunt, pulling the axe from the wound, deep red blood seeping into the white fur near it. The cat pulled itself on top of my chest and snapped the drooling mouth at me yet again. I gripped its throat in the same place as before to keep the powerful jaw from reaching me, bits of saliva dripping onto my face from only inches away. Another strike with the axe deepened the wound and made the beast yelp out, getting even angrier, pushing against my hand and nearing my face every second. The axe was stuck deep in the beast's flesh. It was nearly impossible to wedge it loose while fighting the clamping set of teeth in front of me. I had to let go of the axe and bring my other hand to the throat line, squeezing and choking tightly. I quickly brought my legs up and put my feet against the underside of the beast, pushing upwards with all my might. I felt the backside of the creature lift off the ground with my forceful shove. The cat quickly began to back off, trying to get away from my feet, but was far too late. I gave a final heave, hauling the beast upwards off all four paws and over me, off the cliffside. I watched as the monstrous creature soared over my head, a clear look of fear and defeat in its eyes as its fate was sealed. I quickly rolled over and looked past the edge, watching it fall through the air until it collided with the rocky ledges below, bouncing off several of them with loud echoing thuds until being stopped by the cold, grassy ground below. I winced as it hit the final layer of earth, its limp, lifeless body just lying there perfectly still, shredded and bloody from the chaotic fall among the jagged hillside. I closed my eyes and leaned back, letting out a very loud sigh and putting my hand on my chest, just breathing for several minutes. I thought I had been much more prepared for such a situation, but if it took that much to fight a simple snowcat, I wasn't quite sure if I would be able to handle much else in this deep mountain pass. It didn't matter though. I was in the middle of it now, and more determined than ever to get home. I rose to my feet, brushing the dust and dirt off my now tattered robe. I felt a slight bit unstable on my feet and had to take a brief moment to adjust before walking over to my bag to retrieve it. I tied the frayed leather string of it together tightly and hoisted it back over my head and onto my shoulders, checking to make sure the contents were still safe. With that, I stumbled over to the cold, dark torch lying on the ground to pick it up. I relit the torch in the same manner as before, letting out a sigh of relief as the dark path ahead was once again filled with the soothing orange glow. I made my way back down the ridge and into the familiar trail I had been on before. I had my sense of direction now, and hastily headed off again. I reached the edge of the cliff from above and took a sharp turn into the wood, needing to do something first. I passed through the thicket of trees until I reached the edge, the snowcat still lying there lifelessly, with its eyes peering openly at me without blinking. I could see my axe still wedged in the side of the creature, hardly even loosened by the blows from the rocks. I looked up at the dull gray precipice above me for a second and then back to the creature while walking over to it. I confidently put my foot against the belly of the snowcat and reached to grab my axe with both hands, tugging forcefully on it. With a gut-wrenching squelch and a spurt of blood, I finally freed my weapon from the flesh. I quickly stepped over the corpse and back towards the main path, sheathing my axe in the rightful spot on my belt yet again, giving a quick glance over my shoulder to look over the dead beast curiously. Despite the horrid ending for it, the creature looked almost peaceful, lying there with closed eyes. I whispered into the wind, "Be at peace, my friend," and quickly turned my head back to look forward, stepping through the grass again until finding the dirt road. The rest of the journey was simple now with my newfound guided direction. Despite a few close calls with strange rustlings in the wood beside me, I was quickly making headway. Along the path I saw a bright light amidst the pines of the forest, a small ways off. It was a small wooden cabin with a bright orange candle burning softly in the window. My curiosity desired to see what this new place was, and who it belonged to, but I forced myself to keep going forward, ignoring the small, humble homestead. The sun dipped fully behind the snow-capped peaks now, the land shaded in a complete blanket of darkness as the pale gray sky dimmed quickly above me. My torch was my only source of light now, the blackness of the woods encroaching around me ominously.